Hi everyone, welcome to my Campus GPS Facebook Live. This is the place where we talk about how parents can help their high school student prepare for university. Tonight we're talking about 3 big reasons why you should always read the fine print in a scholarship application. So I'm Janet McDonald and I'm a former university admissions officer, and now with my Campus GPS I help high school students and parents with the process of preparing for university, and part of that of course is applying for scholarships. So the first thing that I suggest that you do is always, when you get a scholarship that you think that your student is eligible for, you should always read the entire application form, including the fine print or the small print, because you're going to find a lot of critical information in there sometimes, or certainly sometimes it's information that will be very helpful to you. It can really be a place to find a wealth of information in that fine print. So the most visible information on a scholarship application, it's usually, that kind of first page that you see, or the first page, for example, even if it's online, and it's going to tell you that basic information about who's offering the scholarship, the requirements for the applicant, so it must be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, and maybe the type of program that the student is applying for, and that type of information. It'll also give you the basic information about what's required to apply for the scholarship, what type of information the student must supply, so activities list, reference essay, that sort of stuff, and the deadline. So that's kind of that first layer of information, or what I call the first layer of information. However, there's usually some additional information on most scholarship applications, and this is the information that could be critical or at least very useful to you. So this is the fine print, or that second layer of information. And that second layer of information is usually, like I say, it in a written, like in a paper application, it might be that fine print. Or if you're looking at a scholarship application online, this secondary information may be provided through links on that first page. So if you're reading an online scholarship application and you see some links, click through those links, and that's that secondary information. So behind that first wall might be some really great information that's going to help you to be more successful with that particular scholarship. So, so that secondary layer, you may find one, 2, or 3 pieces of this type of information, and these are the 3 big reasons why you want to make sure that you're looking through all of those links in an online application, or reading that fine print. So reason number 1, it's because it may go into greater detail about the applicant's eligibility, or the requirements for it. So you've read the first layer of information, you think, okay, I think, I qualify, or my student qualifies for that particular award. And then if you read some of the secondary information, it may give you a better idea about some more specific requirements that they have on there. For example, if the application is for students who have a particular health problem, for example, then you may, in that secondary information, you may discover that you need to provide proof of diagnosis or something like that. Now, you may have that proof of diagnosis, or you may not have it and need to get it. Or maybe you think, I'm not able to get that. Well, that's information that you should know up front. Or maybe your student is considering studying part-time at university, and the award is only for students who are attending full-time. The other piece of information about eligibility is if there is a financial need requirement on that particular scholarship. Remember, not all scholarships have that financial need requirement, but some do. So if it does, then that secondary information might tell you what that financial need is. So remember, the term financial need can vary from scholarship to scholarship depending on what that particular organization's definition of financial need is. So that secondary information can tell you perhaps something like the household the household income must be below a certain figure. Now, if there's any gray area here about whether or not your student is eligible for the award, I encourage you to contact the organization directly and find out for sure. Basically, the point here is that you don't want to be spending time applying for scholarships that your student is not eligible for. So you want to spend your time applying for ones that they are eligible for. So you need to determine those eligibility requirements up front. And if there is any question, then contact the scholarship grantor directly and find out, ask your question and find out for sure. Okay, so reason number 2, and this is a big one, is that there might be some kind of extra information in that secondary level of information that could be very useful to your student in terms of their success with the application. So some scholarship applications will provide things like a scoring sheet. So this is kind of like a checklist or almost like a grading rubric that your teacher might use, that their teacher might use in school. So this will basically give you some more information about what it is that they're looking for in the application. So for example, there is a scholarship for students who have Crohn's and colitis, and the name of the scholarship is the IBD scholarship. I'll put the link to this after I finish. I'll put the link to it in the comments so that you can see the example that I'm using. Now, unfortunately, the deadline for this particular award has passed. It was June 1st, but I will put that in the comments so that you can see what I'm talking about. So in the scholarship, it's located online. And that first page will tell you that the applicants are required to write a 500-word essay. Now remember, 500 words is less than 1 page, okay? Just to put it in perspective for you. So they're required to write this essay, and it gives a few questions that the students should answer in their essay. So that's good information to have. It provides a guide for the students of information that they should cover in that essay. But now just below that, information is another paragraph, and that paragraph is called selection process. And in that paragraph there is a link. And that link links to a scoring sheet and criteria definitions. So this is basically a list of criteria for your essay and your personal recommendations, what they're going to be rated on. So this contains information like, has the applicant participated in activities to bring awareness to the IBD community? Well, it didn't ask for that on the first page of the application, but obviously they're interested in students who have done something like this. So if you have done it, then definitely put it in. Another one is, has the applicant conveyed their goals, both academic and personal? Again, that wasn't specifically asked in on the first page. And here's an interesting one. Does the essay include a wow factor? Now, you might not even have considered including a wow factor in your essay. So this is good information to have. You think, wow, I should probably put some kind of wow factor in there if you have one. And if you're not quite sure what a wow factor is, well, I actually go into detail in that in my online program, How to Write Winning Scholarship Applications. So I talk about how you can get that wow factor into your essays. And then it also gives some information for your referee, what the referee should be putting in their reference letter. So does the reference include examples of the applicant's determination, positivity, and leadership? So this is information that you should then pass on to your referee so that they can include it in their reference letter, and has the reference known the student for an extended period of time. So these are just a few of the examples of what is on that scoring sheet. Now, these are not requirements, but they are obviously things that the selection committee is looking for and things that they would like to see on the student's application and in their references. So this is information that you can use to tailor your application to the particular criteria of that award, and it ensures that the information that you're providing to them is what the selection committee actually wants. So you don't have to guess at what they want. They're telling you in black and white what they want. There's a list of things that they want. So this is like golden information. Okay, so reason 3 for digging deeper into the application and finding out and reading that fine print, it's to ensure that you're following the directions exactly. So there may be some kind of specific instructions in that secondary layer of information, or the fine print, that tells you stuff that isn't on that initial first page. So it might be something like essays must be double spaced, and if it says that they must be double spaced, then double space your essay. If you single space it, you may be disqualified. So this sounds like a little thing, but it happens more often than what you think. I've seen it happen. It happens. So you just need to follow the directions exactly. And I talked more about that in last week's episode, so you could go back and have a look at that, and that will tell you a little bit more about that. But basically, you don't want to be doing all of this work and then be disqualified for some silly little oversight that you made, okay? So those are the 3 reasons why you should read the fine print. Number 1, ensure that your student meets all of the requirements. Number 2, you get access to information that could be critical to your student's success with the application. And number 3, it ensures that you are following the directions exactly. So remember just to read all of the instructions first before your student starts to write, so that you have a really good understanding of whether or not your student does qualify for this award, and then they have access to some of that other information that isn't on that first layer. So do a little deeper digging and you may come up with some really good stuff. Okay, so next week I think I'm going to talk about some ways that grade 11 students, some things that they can do to start to prepare for scholarships in grade 12, because we know that the scholarships in grade 12 start to come out earlier than most people think. They come out around October of the grade 12 year. So in the meantime, you can check out my award-winning blog, which is on my website. And if you'd like to hire me to work one-to-one with you and your student to help them prepare a scholarship or prepare for scholarships for the following year, you can also find out how to do that on my website. And that is mycampusgps.ca. So thanks very much, and have a great week.